to say a few words how to declare a variable. So the general structure of the declaration, of variable declaration, looks like this. Now, what is a variable? When okay, let's try some silly example. For example, we can finally maybe fix the syntax error here, get rid of this nonsense, and maybe say that integer x equals 1, and then say if x equals 2, then do this, which obviously will not be true, right? Because x is 1, and if 1 equals 2 is false, so this if statement will not execute. That's sort of intuitive. But let's discuss what is really going on. Number one, do not name your variables using single characters, uppercase or lowercase. It's an ultimate evil. It's it's horrible. In my professional career, people were fired for being stubborn and thinking that naming variables with using single character is efficient and good looking. They were fired, honestly, fired from the job, just for this particular reason. After a couple of warnings, they resisted, and the bosses decided, no, we cannot, we can't accept that. One single reason for this: to change a variable, which looks like this. You say, well, maybe it's not so bad. You can always go, edit, where is it, replace, right? And you can try to replace it and so forth. But it just happens to be that your habit will be to use single character variables in multiple files, in multiple classes, in multiple methods of the same class. And sometimes when you need to really change your code, maintain your code, you have to change. For example, one variable could become two variables for some reason. It's going to be an ultimate nightmare to look for x's that represents who knows what, and in many occasions they may, even in the worst case scenario, may represent the same thing but with slight details attached to that. Not good. Don't do it. Even doing this is a much better choice. Okay, so please remember that. And I seriously, I will be deducting points for using single character variable names. So do not do it. Even if you already developed this habit, forget it as soon as possible. In fact, in this case, what this X stands for, I could say print text, right? And say 1. And then print text right here, if print text is 2, then print text. Even this, although makes not much sense, but already gives some clues about the initial thinking around this particular segment of code. Agree? Okay. So I think that's just something you really have to be paying attention to, and I would strongly recommend that you never use single character variables. Yes, question.
Does that also apply to indexes,
Like if you're writing a loop with one little, yes, absolutely. In case of a loop, I would name it something like that, IDX, or something that just makes sense, or index, but not a single character. I know that old school programmers that's been programming a long time ago have done it ton of times. Some people actually say it's okay, but I mean, again, I just modern programming styles all strongly discourage this. If you want to make your code unreadable, that's a different story. Oh, that's a different story. Okay, so everything has its purpose, right? So, okay, moving on. Now, so that's naming. Notice the difference between main app and print text. The print text, you know, I'm trying to. It's still kind of abstract meaning. I don't know what it is, but just an example of a variable name. It's an integer, and it has a value assigned to it as it's being created. But notice the first character is lowercase. This is not a typo. This is intentional. Java style, or whatever you call it, you know, naming convention suggests that this is called print. I can continue on with this sort of print text to screen. Okay, so make it even longer. But notice that besides first character, I am capitalizing every other word that is compound into this variable name. I'm also not using spaces because spaces are not available. Okay, and so this is a very, very Java-like coding convention or naming convention for variables. It's called camel case, right? So because it looks like humps on the camel's back. Okay, so whereas this is sort of like a capitalized version. So classes have more significance maybe than other parts. So they have the convention is to capitalize the first character. On variables, it's typically lowercase. Now, if my variable was just one single word, such as this index that we used before, then it's okay to just use all lowercase. Question?
Is underscores all right?
That was precisely my next series of, yes, underscores. Of course, underscore is a is a legal part of an identifier. It's a legal character inside a variable name. For some reason unknown to me, you can research it. Java programmers don't like it. C++ programmers, on the other side, precisely go with this and actually keep everything lowercase. So this would be a typical C++ style name of this same variable. Okay, and even more so, maybe using 2 instead of 2, just to make it look kind of unique to the situation. So, but Java programmers do prefer to follow this particular convention. The camel case, which was this. So just a note. So for those who know C and program in C or C++, this may be somewhat an unnatural transition. Also, notice that in my if statement, I'm placing my opening brace on the same line as if statement. Most Java programmers will do this instead. Well, this comes from my C background, and this is my style. My excuse for it in class is that I am saving some space so you can see more code. But that's not the real reason. Okay, it's a lie. I'm really, that just because this is the way I think. And, many of you will be submitting your homeworks, and you will be doing this, okay?
What will IDE do automatically?
I don't know. It doesn't seem to be bothered by this, because when I say source format, it doesn't move it here. However, it just removed my extra spaces, which is also my C habit. It just kills those spaces, but it never really moves the opening brace to the next line. But enough about this. Let's go back to the variables. I would like to also talk about memory aspect of it. So let's save this segment.